He sat up, feeling refreshed after a long sleep. Beside him, Theo was still yawning. Seijin lifted him up, urging him, "Come on, merchant cat, it's already morning." Despite everything, Theo was still very sleepy. Rubbing his eyes, Seijin went to the pond to wash his face, suddenly feeling something strange. He couldn't believe his eyes. A small wooden bucket filled with clean water was supported by straight wooden planks, conveying water from the lake through bamboo pipes. Looking at the full bucket of water, the farmer exclaimed, holding the red scoop next to him in amazement, "Oh my, there's even a water scoop here." Seijin scooped up each full scoop of water onto his head immediately, humming happily, thinking it must have been those gray rabbits who built it. From now on, washing his head would be so convenient. He might even be able to bathe his back too. While massaging his wet hair, Theo called from the other side, "Come and see this, sir." Only food could wake up a sleepy cat, right? It led Seijin to a sturdy, gigantic stone kitchen that had just been newly built and was now operational. Above, the mother rabbit was stirring some soup, while below, the young rabbits were bringing more bamboo leaves to blow on the fire. Theo proudly showed the chairman, "They're doing something fancy, sir." Seijin couldn't believe his eyes. It was an extremely productive stove kitchen, not just an iron pot hanging on a wooden stick anymore. Seijin was stunned, looking at Theo. There was even a round table made from smoothed wood. Seijin sparkled with joy, picking up the chopsticks and spoon. From now on, he could eat properly with these. Beside him, Theo showed him a large wooden bowl, saying, "Look at this, sir. Pimik, Pibik, and Pirik made me a separate bowl, and there's even my footprint on it, sir." Surprised at the craftsmanship of the item, Seijin asked again what those three names were. "They're the names of those gray rabbits, nothing else." Theo held up the bowl as big as his head, pointing behind him, saying they can make anything because they're very grateful to stay here, sir. Over there, the architect rabbit was being given a beautiful dark blue towel by the gray rabbits. The architect rabbit scratched his head shyly, saying, "This is a gift to thank you for taking care of us yesterday, sir." They worked tirelessly, with hands and feet never stopping. The new cloth was so beautiful that Sickle Rabbit decided to wear it right away. At the same time, Seijin approached and called the kids, and immediately saw all three lined up, bowing their heads respectfully to thank him very much for his thoughtful care yesterday. "There are still many things missing, but we will try to help in any way we can within our abilities." Before Architect Rabbit could finish speaking, Seijin's big hand suddenly grabbed its hand unexpectedly. On his bright face was the key question. "Do you guys need a job right now? A job?" While the little rabbit behind eagerly wanted to say yes, Architect Rabbit felt something amiss behind Seijin's casual smile. Its ears twitched continuously as if warning, surprisedly asking, "What did you just say?" The prehistoric cave of Seijin still basked in the gentle sunlight pouring down from above, just like any other day. But today held a special event, an official announcement from Seijin himself. He eagerly informed everyone that Pimik, Pirik, and Pibik had decided to stay with them. The three of them extended their hands in front of their bellies to express gratitude, while everyone applauded, welcoming the three new members into the rabbit family with joy, especially the younger ones, who were ecstatic. With the addition of more workers to Seijin's private company, as the president, he would deliver a constructive speech. With such a talented technical team, our farm would surely flourish even more in the future. The gray rabbits listened intently, feeling empowered. "We can do anything," they chanted along with Seijin, sounding quite enthusiastic. Then the farmer knelt down, looking at the rabbits, and asked, "First off, could you build a house for the rabbits? The young ones are growing, and they need more space. Plus, you need a place to stay too. The second generation needs to become more independent, but nobody here knows how to build a house." Unlike their parents, who could build small houses with mud and leaves, the second-generation rabbits had some plans. Some carried leaves, others dug the ground, but they still couldn't figure out how to make a decent rabbit hole. It was exhausting, and some even lay down to sleep. Since the gray rabbits arrived, they had noticed the dug-up earth pile. They laughed and said, "That's our specialty. Leave it to us." Upon hearing Seijin discussing with the gray rabbits, Theo demanded to be carried, saying he also wanted a mobile home. "But you already had their own pouches," Seijin teased the cat. Initially, Seijin intended to decline to reduce their workload, but one of them suddenly suggested, "Can we build a ramen building for you, made of instant noodles or something?" It was just a whim. They didn't really need a house. When they slept on Seijin's leaf bed, while most of the time, they were on their merchant cat travels. Then the gray rabbits looked at Sejin's belongings. Seeing only a bed of leaves neatly arranged with a blanket on top, and a bag woven from leaves stuffed with more leaves as a pillow, along with a backpack from his days at the Magic Tower and a plastic water bottle, they wondered if he made leaf perfume too. One of them asked, "Sejin, don't you have a home?" It was the first time someone had asked Sejin such a question. His living situation wasn't much different from that of a prehistoric farmer. He was used to it. He hesitated before replying, "I just sleep on these leaves." Then a small one suggested, "Why not build a home for Sejin too?" He hadn't thought about that before. Human homes surely needed larger dimensions than those of cats or rabbits. How could these kids build a house for him? There wasn't enough space inside the cave area anyway. Excitedly, the architect rabbit told him that even though they couldn't build a house inside the cave, they were confident they could build one outside. There were plenty of materials like wood that they could find and provide themselves. Hearing that, Sejin, excited, agreed. He would love to have a home instead of rolling around on a pile of leaves all the time. Just the thought made him happy. Sejin mumbled to himself, "I've only been able to expand the farm so far, so having some extra time to rest indoors would be nice." Not to mention, mother bear cubs and the gray wolves occasionally visited here too. With a house, all of them could rest inside and feel safer when coming to report work to Sejin on the 99th floor. So he eagerly leaned on both sides, extremely friendly, asking the gray rabbits for help in building a house. "What do you need?" The gray rabbits could get to work immediately, and the most needed material was bricks. Additionally, the architect rabbit asked, "Is there any fine sand or mud on the 99th floor?" Around the prehistoric cave and Sejin's farm, there wasn't any, but both he and Theo knew a place where they could find plenty. With just a glance at each other, they understood where that place was referring to, as they had visited it before. That same day, the Minotaur tribe on the 99th floor was surprised to see a human there again, but since their leader didn't say anything, they didn't dare to either. Thanks to Elka, the gray wolf leader, who brought both humans and rabbits and cats here, Sejin could travel far to request some sand from the Minotaur King's territory. He asked Elka to take everyone to the Minotaur tribe's mud pit to investigate the quality of the soil and see if the sand and mud there were suitable. Holding a handful of needed soil, the architect rabbit nodded in agreement with the quality here. The moisture was just right, and there were even dried leaves mixed in, perfect for making bricks. Sejin didn't know much about construction or pottery, but hearing the architectural rabbit's assurance, he was pleased too. Greenery was severely lacking in this place, while soil was in abundance. The friendly Minotaur King stood before Sejin, crossing his arms and asking, "Why do you need soil? Isn't that our Minotaur tribe's food?" In fact, Sejin knew that apart from the large amount of onions he provided to the Minotaur King earlier, most people here still had to eat soil instead of grass. That's why he came here today, to collect the soil already prepared for a new interesting deal. Pimmick would teach everyone how to make bricks from the soil here. If they made soil bricks and supplied them to them, they would pay a fair price. Just hearing that, Minotaur King immediately grasped Sejin's hand firmly and pounded his muscle with his other hand, eager to get started right away. If they could make good quality bricks for Sejin and earn money, surely the Minotaur clan would have plenty of grass to eat from now on, and no one would have to eat soil anymore. Having just made the decision with Sejin, the old Minotaur King immediately turned briskly to the soldiers working hard, grabbing large handfuls of soil to feed them, shouting, "Hey Minotaurs, no more soil eating. Otherwise, we won't have enough soil to make bricks for the farmers now." The whole group turned back in surprise to their leader, wondering what they would eat now if not soil. That settled it. Sejin nodded, and from now on, everyone would definitely be busy for a while. The other two rabbits on Elka's head couldn't help much, but they liked to wander around. Last time, Sickle Rabbit couldn't go. Now he was excited to go far. Once the brick part was done, attention turned to wood. To get wood, they had to chop down trees on level 99. Of course, the rabbits couldn't chop down trees, and Sejin didn't have an axe or a hammer to chop down these big trees, so it's surprising that Kuk is extremely useful in this. Looking so small, its muscle strength is really strong. Just putting its arms on the tree's body, gently lifting it made the rabbits below cheer, even pulling out the roots. But how much wood can that tree make? Look at the mother bear. She can pull out 2 tall trees with her own size, and each time she pulls out, she can double the number of trees Kuk can make in no time. There will be enough wood to make several houses for Sejin. Outside the expanding field, the Minotaurs were using their strong horns instead of plows to dig out moderate-sized but extremely long holes, expanding and creating plots for the upcoming planting seasons. The Minotaur's powerful strength was truly suitable for the work of plowing here. In stark contrast to that speed and strength were the rabbits. From the first generation to the second generation, they painstakingly dug small paths, shoveled soil, and sowed seeds for onion fields. Now, besides the digging rabbit, it also has two younger siblings, one using a hoe and one using a shovel to assist it. Not far from there, on the sweet potato field with lush green leaves, the father rabbit was using his magical watering pot, along with his children, to moisten the entire soil of the large sweet potato field. Currently, the area here has expanded 3 times compared to before. The long stretches of dark green sweet potato fields reach to the foot of the stone mountains. After hours of farming or gathering materials to build houses for Sejin, quite far away, Kuk was practicing a few moves with the Silver Wolf tribe leader Elka, this little one. Even though his mother is the owner of a dense forest in the territory of the Red Bear, but of course it will accumulate more experience if it learns a few punches with Elka, who has traveled to many places. And Elka, being the tribe leader of a large wolf tribe, was also very happy to play with this mischievous little Kuk. It looked more like playing with a nephew than training. Sejin couldn't participate, but he cheered from afar, cheering on them. And after a round, Kuk would be rewarded by the farmer with a jar of delicious honey to replenish his strength. He probably worried that the little bear would lose weight from all the exercise. Just that's enough for Kuk to play with Elka all day. Usually only a little honey licking. Now it gets a whole jar. It must be happy. Watching the little one suck on each piece of honey with a mix of pleasure and gratitude in its sparkling eyes, the tribe leader Elka looked at it, seeing it so delicious, wondering what it tastes like. In the menu of the wolf tribe, there was never any honey, so Chief Elka could only watch the little one lick his lips, drooling with desire. Craving honey, suddenly a jar full of honey was presented before Elka, making the chief bewildered and unbelieving, his eyes fixed on the golden shimmer inside the jar, along with the enticing aroma emanating from it. What surprised him even more was Sejin holding out the brimming jar of honey with a radiant smile. Without saying another word, or needing any further invitation, the chief was utterly astonished to realize that the farmer truly wanted him to enjoy the top-notch honey from his farm, suddenly finding him adorable. With that settled, Sejin moved on to the fields above, assisting Cart Rabbit and Pouch Rabbit in planting sweet potato seeds on the newly formed plots, followed by harvesting the new sweet potato seeds from the nearby farm. Just lifting a sweet potato plant gently revealed roots full of tubers swaying among the soil, emitting an extremely appealing and tantalizing light. The system panel popped up a notification informing him that he had harvested 10 sunflower sweet potato tubers. His farming experience slightly increased. His harvesting skill level increased by 1 level. His level 4 skill was also raised to level 5, and he received 450 experience points. Thanks to the promotion, Sejin received an additional skill point, but that wasn't important. What mattered was that he had pulled out so many sweet potato vines, with as many as 10 tubers on 1 vine, making the harvest exceptionally abundant. Although the name was quite long, sunflower sweet potato, its appearance resembled its peculiar name, both in color like nutritious red pumpkins and in shape like sweet, tender potatoes. This sweet potato vine was the most abundant, but most other sweet potato vines also had between 5 and 7 tubers. He worked tirelessly all afternoon, sweat dripping down his face, only then starting to feel the heat from the never-setting sun at the towering night tower on his head, if standing working for a few hours under the sun. If he couldn't block out the sun, then he had to create something to provide shade. With his current meager magical ability, Sejin gently raised his hand and used magic to release a small black cloud directly above his head. Cart Rabbit suddenly saw the sky above him darken and looked up to see. It turned out to be Sejin's strange cloud. After all, he was Korean. There was no sunscreen here. He didn't want his skin to burn and become African, so unintentionally creating a cloud to cover his own appearance, the system notified him that his cloud-making skill had significantly increased. Looking back at all the vegetable leaves harvested today, piled up a bunch, enough to feed a dozen minotaurs for a whole month. Watching Cart Rabbit pushing his little cart, he wiped his face and muttered to himself, while building a house, it would be best to build a sturdy warehouse on the ground to store the harvested goods. Although the shelf life of Sejin's farm items reached 60 days or more, he couldn't just let the vegetable leaves dry up, losing moisture under the sun from this day to that. Sitting resting under the cloud that had formed into a dark rock-like shape on his head, Sejin contemplated the next plans he wanted the gray rabbits to build when he saw Theo coming to him with his hand raised, waving, "Hello, Chairman Park. The travel-ready cat looks neat like this. Seems like it's ready to hit the road." Sejin set aside all the work he was doing. Turning to the cat, "When are you going down there?" he asked. "I'm trying to slowly make my way down there." While carrying a bunch of stuff from the cave outside with the little bag of the merchant, Sejin wanted to know if the cat's luggage had room or not. "Would you like to bring some antidote vegetable leaves, just in case? Maybe some hunter might need it. Just made some vegetable leaves, and they're growing a lot." Of course, Theo never ate antidote vegetable leaves, but hearing the farmer say so, it waved its hand and left, saying, "Does any hunter look for that antidote vegetable leaf, huh? If someone asks, I'll sell it for 100 coins, okay?" Of course, that's it. No one gives anything for free. Sejin agreed right away, also telling it to bring some and try it with soup to see if it's good or not. Approaching the pile of vegetable leaves, Theo dropped its purple space bag, truly curious whether it could sell this thing or not, if antidote vegetable leaves were something the market needed or not. But in the end, it followed suit, because once Sejin said it, it was never wrong. What did he say earlier? Bring it along and try it with soup? Theo picked up a stalk of vegetable leaf and brought it to its nose, letting out a genuine ew sound. It smelled awful, just a whiff, and it felt like it lost all taste buds already. It didn't understand why the chairman told it to eat this stuff, representing all the cats in the world. It declared, "Theo doesn't want to eat this stinky thing." Afraid that Sejin would think it was criticizing his brand of vegetable leaves, just as the farmer waved from a distance, "Hey, Theo, come here now." It hurriedly stuffed the pile of vegetable leaves into its space bag, afraid that if the chairman saw it criticizing the product, he wouldn't let it sell anymore, and that would be exhausting. Besides, Theo was quick partly because it was afraid others would eat its share of fish, so it turned its head and shouted, "Hey, don't eat my fish," while quickly grabbing and stuffing various things into its space bag. How did its hand end up grabbing a sweet potato vine, not realizing it had taken the wrong thing, stuffing it in along with some vegetable leaves, pushing everything to the bottom of its own space bag? Theo's disastrous mistake went unnoticed by anyone, not even itself, just pulling the bag shut, running to where everyone was gathering to eat the main meal of the day. The wolf chief, along with Kuk Kuk and the rabbit family, were all present. Even the Minotaur workers were eagerly stepping forward, excitedly awaiting the farm meal from Sejin's farm, because it wasn't easy to come here, had to win in gambling to come here to work. While on the 99th floor, there was always golden sunlight shining down along with drifting clouds. On the 67th floor of the tower, there was also sunlight penetrating through the dense canopy, but not always reaching the moist grass patches that reptiles like to hide in. On the calm, mossy lake, occasionally a few reptile calls echoed, and a green frog sat on a branch full of moss, bulging its belly and croaking continuously. It was enjoying such a leisurely day when suddenly an arrow pierced straight into the back of its head, pushing forward, and immediately fell. The one who shot down that large green frog was another creature proficient in using a bow and had only 2 arrows in its quiver behind its back. Its body covered by clothing identical to a hunter's, a few pieces of leather covering vulnerable areas along with its widespread claws. Unexpectedly, it was a lizard person. Seeing its prey fall, it licked its lips with pleasure, feeling the thrill of hunting its own dinner and rewarding itself for its achievement. This 67th floor forest area was already familiar territory for it, coupled with its skilled archery to bring down the large green frog in just a moment. Immediately, leaping from the tree branch to the rock, then down to the other side of the clear water pond, the lizard placed its muscular legs right next to the prey that had been felled by just 1 arrow. Before retracting the arrow to retrieve its prey, a red-armored insect flew straight to it, landing right on the green skin of the frog, sticking its proboscis directly in front of the lizard's surprised eyes. It looked like a mutated beetle, with its entire armor being a fierce red color, its eyes full of vigilance looking at the one who brought down this green frog, while it sunk its fangs into the green skin and tore it apart. This insect was devouring like it had been starving for a long time. For this kind of insect, With just one hand, the lizard could easily capture it. Being lifted up like that, and the red insect still refused to release its piece of frog skin, stubbornly ignoring. As long as it was still in its mouth, it would continue chewing, eventually becoming the lizard's prey forever. It put the whole head along with the upper body of the red insect into its mouth, using its few but extremely sharp teeth to bite, easily digesting it with great pleasure. Then it used its tongue to curl lightly around the lower body of the insect, quickly putting it into its mouth to finish the appetizer quickly and neatly. Just before moving on to the main course, there was still a piece of skin peeled off lying over there. Seeing the scene of its comrades being digested by the lizard so easily, the group of insects of the same kind on the tree branches above hurriedly moved away in fear. But actually, they weren't afraid at all. They fluttered their wings like signaling to each other. And just as they were about to swallow the last leg of the red insect, suddenly a loud roar rang out from above the lizard's head, getting louder and louder, as if someone was turning on a giant fan next to its ear. When it looked up, it saw a dense black swarm of red insects, like the kind it had just chewed and swallowed, except that they covered all the branches, the dense trunks right in front of the lizard, with an immense number, sometimes even hundreds of thousands, looking at the lizard with eyes full of hatred. Surely lizards aren't the prey they usually hunt, but with this many of them, just taking off and flying once is enough to strike fear into all the animals. Still maintaining their formation, they leave the tree trunk at an incredibly fast pace, using their large wings to propel themselves downward while raising their claws, simultaneously charging towards the poor green lizard in a terrifying whirlwind, the sound of millions of wings flapping together. The green lizard looks at the scene in front of it in disbelief. It only now realizes it's encountered a ferocious species. Just a moment ago, it was preying on these insects, and now it's the one paying the price. One insect is an easy meal for it, but it becomes prey for tens of millions of flying creatures, like a storm. The lizard opens its mouth wide in horror, but eventually accepts its fate. It can't resist the overwhelming power of such a terrifying creature rushing towards it. Where the lizard stood, a powerful wave of earth and sand rises as the insects swarm down to devour it in just a moment, leaving behind a deep hole in the ground. Not a trace of the green lizard, just a few wooden tubes containing some bows lying on the ground. Those red insects fly higher than the tallest ancient tree branches, obscuring some of the sky's blue light from the 67th floor and gradually disappearing without a trace. If one hadn't witnessed this from the beginning, they wouldn't believe that there was a creature walking on the grass before. Now, not even a scrap of skin or bone remains, as if it never existed. At that moment, Aileen was enjoying a deep sleep on her bed full of pillows when she suddenly heard the vibrating sound of her magic orb, accompanied by beeps urging her black dragon to wake up from her dream. Aileen, annoyed, covers her eyes and ears, but the more irritated she gets, the louder the bell seems to ring. It's too noisy. The black dragon finally can't stand it anymore and sits up, sighing deeply with regret. It's the first time she's slept so well in a long time. Why is this bell ringing now? Not only is the bell ringing, but the magic orb on the table is emitting a bright light, as if inviting Aileen to come and see. Well, since she's awake anyway, Aileen reaches out with her right hand to take the orb and uses her left hand to activate the magic with the Pimity ring, confirming her identity to access the information the orb is sending. As soon as the effect is activated, dozens of notification boards suddenly pop out of the orb, as if they had been held back for a long time. She thought there was a very serious event happening, but in fact, all the boards here have only one message, but it has appeared so many times that it shows the urgency. When one of the boards finally stops for Aileen to read, she sees a staggering number. Over 5.3112 million red grasshoppers have invaded the 67th floor of the tower. What's going on here? Why are there red grasshoppers here that she doesn't know about? The black dragon reads and rereads each notification board that appears in front of her in a panic. This isn't an invasion from outside the tower, is it? Thinking back, this isn't the first time Aileen has read about red grasshoppers. Thanks to the books in the library, she knows that 100 years have passed since the grasshoppers attacked the tower after destroying the 55th floor. If it weren't for her grandfather's solution, they would surely have caused more trouble elsewhere. But that happened decades ago. If it happens again now, will Aileen know how to deal with it? Thinking so, the Black Dragon immediately calls for notification, requests administrative authorization, and connects communication to the outside. But the response to Aileen's request is the line, "unable to connect," leaving her extremely frustrated. It can't be like this. Can't she open a way out of the tower on her own? Just as she finishes saying that, the system displays purple warning boards for the panicked Black Dragon to continue watching, stating that 0.1% of the area on the 67th floor has been destroyed by red grasshoppers. Just as she glances at that line, Aileen is stunned and speechless. She's only had one nap, and things have changed so drastically. In just under 2 minutes of being stunned, the notification board continues to jump to 0.2% of the area of the 67th floor being destroyed by red grasshoppers. Everything is happening too quickly, too dangerously, right in front of the Black Dragon. Managing the tower when they only begin to receive reports of the invasion, but after furrowing her brows for a while, the Black Dragon hesitantly tries to think about whether this might be a good thing. But why does Aileen think so? That day finally arrived. The day when half of the electric eel turned into a delicious fatty meal, inviting everyone to dig in. Thanks to the skillful hands of Farmer Sejong and the rabbit family, the eel meat had been carefully carved into small pinkish blocks, looking mouth-wateringly good, neatly arranged next to the eel's body on a bed of onion leaves. Most importantly, a delicacy like this couldn't be eaten raw. For the first time in the prehistoric cave, the enticing sizzle of the golden and crispy eel fat being flipped back and forth in the pan was heard. As the meat met the high temperature, it immediately turned golden and released a pile of fat to cook itself. The aroma mixed with the sizzling fat, making Sejong close his eyes and inhale deeply, savoring the smell endlessly. It had been so long since he had eaten something fried in oil like this, especially pure fat from a plump eel. Following closely behind Sejong, Theo watched as the farmer just tossed a bunch of onion leaves onto the golden eel meat, causing droplets of grease to splatter his shoulders. The scent wafting from it was truly appetizing, and the dish looked incredibly delicious. A foodie like Theo couldn't resist. It felt like he was about to faint from craving it. Just as both of them were entranced by the aroma, they heard Sickle's voice carrying a large wooden bowl, calling out, "Uncle, here are some sliced sweet potatoes and potatoes." Sejong scooped some pieces of eel meat into another bowl, thanked the kid, and took the bowl of potatoes from Sickle. Arranging the fried eel meat separately, Sejong warned everyone to take them further away before eating. "It's dangerous to get splashed with oil here." Ink, surprised, chirped, asking Sejong if he was preparing another dish. Wasn't the food already done? Meanwhile, Theo, beside himself with excitement over the skewered eel meat in his hand, dripping with saliva, thought Sejong could do anything. Just let him eat these 2 pieces first. Sickle, just like the cat, immediately put a few pieces in his mouth to savor, unable to resist. Sejong, of course, had an even better dish. He claimed it was tastier than honey-glazed potatoes, leaving Ink wide-eyed in disbelief. How could there be anything tastier than honey-glazed potatoes? So, have you guys ever heard of sweet potato soup? Sejong brought out a plate full of neatly cut sweet potatoes, which were the main ingredient of today's new dish. He dumped all the neatly cut sweet potatoes into the sizzling eel fat in the pan, spreading a delightful aroma. Theo, who knew nothing about cooking, clung to Sejong's shoulder, watching him turn the sweet potatoes, feeling lucky to have kept all the eel fat. It was really useful. It had been so long since he had eaten anything other than grilled or steamed food. The farmer used 2 chopsticks to flip the sweet potato pieces while muttering to himself about following the correct procedure. First, fry the sweet potatoes until they turn golden brown on the outside. Then pour a whole jar of pure honey into the eel fat in the pan and mix all the sweet potatoes to soak up the honey, then cover and simmer over low heat for a while. When he lifted the lid, Sejong's chopsticks could pick up each piece of sweet potato soaked in thick, shiny fat and honey, creating an amazing sweet potato stew. Each bite felt like a blossoming flower. Suddenly, the system popped up to notify him that 2 recipes had been recorded. The second one was the robust potato packed with the energy of Blue Moon, called sweet potato stew. 7 pieces of sweet potatoes were fried until crispy, then added with roasted peanuts and simmered until well infused. The taste of a complete meal both inside and out. Then there were many notifications informing Sejong that he had achieved the forgotten dish achievement, sweet potato stew. The sweet potato soup recipe had reached the level of a master chef, a significant increase in cooking skills. The rabbits had never seen any dish that made them drool so much. Just looking at and smelling the fragrant aroma of the sweet potatoes made their mouths water uncontrollably. But it wasn't over yet. Following Theo's request, after seeing the effect of deep frying, it wanted Sejun to deep fry the entire fish. Normally, piranhas were low in fat, only suitable for grilling or steaming, but this time, with a pan of eel fat, Sejun threw in a whole fish. When all sides were dry, he sprinkled some shredded onion leaves on top, and there you have it, crispy fried piranha. Theo drooled uncontrollably, staring intently at the fish, while Sejun kept looking back and forth, feeling somewhat puzzled. So frying fish didn't count as a recipe? Then what standards were there to turn a dish into a recipe? To find out, he had to roll up his sleeves and get into the kitchen, one hand flipping food with a spatula. Sejun enthusiastically prepared to turn sweet potatoes into a delicious soup. Searching for cooking recipes was really fun. Theo also wanted to enjoy delicious food, so it suggested, how about trying honey on the fish? Unfortunately, that bold idea was rejected by Sejun. A moment later, he laid out many trays of exotic food for the workers to see. From minotaurs to wolves, they all drooled with excitement, no different from Cook and the rabbits cheering at the sight of the fragrant grilled eel and the aromatic tomato juice alongside the crispy fried fish. Nearby were 2 large bowls of sweet potato stew, emanating a tantalizing aroma. Fortunately, minotaurs primarily consumed the onion leaves. If Sejun had flipped the potatoes for them to eat, he'd probably lose his arm. The entire pile of onions had been meticulously arranged, and they eagerly grabbed the leaves, holding them in their hands with delight. Nothing was better than enjoying good food while working. The wolf clan, needless to say, were true omnivores, so they devoured everything, whether it was vegetarian, salty, stewed, or fried. Each of them savored the delicious and unfamiliar flavors they had never tasted before. Today's meal seemed to take the longest time ever. Every drop in the bowl of onion leaves was scooped clean, and not until the cat couldn't lick anymore did it stop. It lay on Sejun's lap, satisfied, rubbing its large belly, saying, "I can't eat anymore." Theo had eaten from start to finish, so where was the room for more? Meanwhile, Cook was still enjoying a jar of honey for dessert. Seeing the cat's enjoyment, Sejun asked if it was ready to go downstairs. It was true, but now Theo was too full and needed some time to rest. After a quick stretch, it got up, neatly packed its belongings, and called the employees. "Let's go, meow!" The clan leader respectfully acknowledged, "Yes, representative," appearing more and more like a competent manager. Before leaving, Theo noticed there was still a whole tray of untouched food left, so it curiously asked the chairman, "What are the leftover dishes for beside you?" Sejun replied that those were for Aileen, recalling that he hadn't received any notifications from the tower manager since earlier. Pushing Cook's drooling mouth away, who thought no one was eating it, Sejun explained to Theo that he had called Aileen earlier, but she didn't respond, and now the food was cold. Could Aileen have overslept? Hearing this, Sejun pondered. If it was just oversleeping, then it was simple. The food could be reheated later. Nothing strange was happening. Poor Aileen struggled with the screen since the system error notification until now without success. Despite trying repeatedly, many pop-ups appeared, stating that it couldn't connect, making Aileen even more confused. "Oh no, I can't control anything, and I've only just restored the dragon's heart a bit, so useless. I don't know what to do to restore the system to its original state." Aileen sadly muttered to herself, feeling lost. Despite trying over and over again, the system couldn't boot up and connect to the outside world. Aileen pitifully didn't know what to do. No idea seemed feasible, except for blaming herself. Suddenly, a completely different system board popped up with a line of text. Floor 10 on the 67th floor of the tower has been devastated by the Red Locust disaster. On that day, at the headquarters of the Central Directorate of the Trade Route, the atmosphere was extremely tense in the main meeting room. A long rectangular table filled with various creatures sat around on the chairs. Everyone wore a serious expression because everyone present here was an influential figure in the Black Tower. Leading the meeting today, seated at the head of the table, was Mason, the head of the female clan, also representing the Traveling Merchant Association. Next to him, an empty seat was reserved for Hannibal, the head of the Freelance Mercenary Guild. Wearing nothing but clothes was Iona, the hamster mage from the Wizards Guild, sitting comfortably in a green cushioned chair. Despite her small stature, she was a key figure invited to this conference. Gathering the most influential figures of the tower required guard agents. Zerath, standing next to the dog agent, secretly wondered why the heads of the tower were gathering like this. Finally, what had happened? Mason was the first to speak, informing everyone that the reason for the summons had passed several days since the red locusts appeared on the 67th floor of the tower. According to information from our Traveling Merchant Association, 2/3 of the 67th floor of the tower has been completely occupied. From then on, everything present in the invaded area would be devoured by the red locusts. Mason also shared that currently, the lizard people were gathering around the outbreak point. We were desperately trying to protect ourselves, but no matter how hard we tried, the situation didn't look optimistic at all. At this point, Hannibal found himself a seat and spoke up, asking about the merchant route, whether it was still under control. Was there a possibility that the red locusts would invade another territory? Mason reminded the Tiger Tribe representative that the red locusts were invaders from outside the tower. Didn't he know that the merchant route didn't allow outsiders to use it? Because the operation of the merchant route had been like that for a long time, it was temporarily safe. However, Mason's eyebrows furrowed as he warned that if the outbreak point was occupied, they would try to infiltrate another floor. Hannibal continued, suggesting it would be floor 68 and then floor 69 of the tower that would be invaded next. What could we do about it? The merchant dog sitting across the table objected loudly, as that was one of the 5 main grain areas of this tower. Wasn't that where the Draken agricultural estate of the Lizard Kingdom was located? This wasn't just the lizard people's problem anymore. Revealing this truth, Mason grimly informed everyone that this could lead to another major famine. The shocking news left many leaders looking at each other in dismay. If a famine were to happen, the tower would descend into chaos. Suddenly, amidst the murmurs, a loud voice from under the table interrupted, reminding them that 200 years ago, at floor 55, the destruction of the Crimson Kingdom had occurred. Didn't anyone know about that? The astonished hamster voices echoed as they saw the bewildered faces around the table. Iona continued, explaining that currently, food reserves were distributed across multiple floors of the tower. At that time, the Crimson Kingdom was the largest food supplier in the tower. When the giant red locust suddenly invaded, she recounted the outcome. The Crimson Kingdom was destroyed. If that boar hadn't taken advantage of the vacuum and seized the land, things might have been different. Before she could finish, Mason's delayed voice interjected, correcting her, saying that Grid was actually a good person. Wasn't she the one who rebuilt the food reserves of the destroyed kingdom back then? Mentioning that, Iona's expression soured, and she scoffed disdainfully. What, he's a good person, you say? It'll be a while before he meets the standards of a good person. Aren't they exploiting the human tribe and monopolizing the entire food distribution network of the tower? Hannibal retorted immediately. Hey, president of the Mage Guild, your words and actions have gone too far. Mason tried to calm his head of the mercenaries, but couldn't stop the mixed panic and urgency of the remaining residents at the meeting. What about the Great Black Dragon? Isn't the Great Black Dragon supposed to protect us? Someone agreed. Yes, the Great Black Dragon will protect us. The whole meeting room erupted, calling for the tower management, leaving Iona with a pounding headache. It seemed she was the only one with enough tenure to see that these people didn't know what they were talking about. Rising gently from the cushioned part of her chair, Iona stood on the table, facing forward as she lectured the tower leaders. 200 years ago, even thousands of years ago, there were invasions of red locusts. Indeed, it was thanks to the appearance of the Great Black Dragon that the red locust scourge was quickly eliminated. Stepping forward while recounting with a mournful tone, however, the last time the red locusts appeared, for some reason, the Great Black Dragon didn't show up promptly. The situation was only brought under control after half of the kingdom's residents disappeared. All food reserves were destroyed, causing severe food shortages throughout the tower. Looking at the raccoon tribe in front of her, Iona sternly reminded them, some places still haven't recovered from those losses. The appearance of the red locusts on floor 67 had been going on for a few days now, and once again, there was no guarantee that the Great Black Dragon would appear quickly and resolve the situation. The whole meeting room fell silent as Iona reminded them, we must do everything we can to stop this situation until the Great Black Dragon appears and intervenes. Otherwise, just waiting like this, the order in this tower will surely collapse. Clenching her fist with determination, the mouse boldly declared, "As the 7th Tower Magic Association under my leadership, that is, the president and leader, we will send out 200 battle mages. What do you want to do, all of you tower leaders present here today?" While the entire tower was buzzing with resistance against the invasion, Theo was lounging with his feet up on a pile of hay, waiting for the clan leader Elka to inquire about the situation of the village folks and playing with his own kids a bit before starting his trade downstairs. Seeing Elka lovingly carrying her son, Theo impatiently thumped his tail on the hay below, urging her, "We're here to take a break. How much longer do you intend to stay? There's no time. It's over." Suddenly, nearby, a hesitant child's voice called out, "Excuse me, are you the great black dragon?" Sitting up and looking at them, he realized it was the wolf tribe kids sneaking over to ask. They seemed to be the same age, calling each other to inquire about the creature in front of them. But where did they see anything black about him to mistake him like this? Nonetheless, the proud cat stood up and introduced himself to the kids. "I'm not the great black dragon, but a loyal servant of him. I'm Theo, a mid-level traveling merchant." Admiring the cat's gallant appearance, the young wolves were impressed right away. Their eyes sparkled as they looked at Theo, faithful servants of the revered great black dragon. Their sparkling eyes made Theo very happy. Pretending not to hear, he put his hand to his ear, tilting his head as if deliberately asking the kids again, "What was that? Say it again?" They shouted the slogan again, making the cat laugh heartily. "I'll give you something delicious as a reward." Being praised and flattered, the cat happily reached into his pocket and pulled out some skewers of grilled fish for the kids to enjoy. He delightedly watched them jump up to catch them, wanting to reach into his pocket for more skewers to reward them for being too cute. But wait, what's this? Theo's hand involuntarily stopped when he grabbed something strange. He didn't expect to find a potato in his hand now, which he mistakenly took from the onion basket last time he ate in a hurry. Theo's reaction to seeing the sweet potato was one of shock and disbelief. "Oh my goodness, why is this devil thing here?" His shout made the clan leader run over to see what was going on. Elka's concerned inquiry made Theo jump as if caught red-handed stealing. The cat quickly jumped up, rolling around and laughing loudly, pretending like nothing had happened. He repeated over and over that nothing had happened, laughing unlike anyone else, making Elka extremely puzzled but still nodding along. "If you're done, let's go." Elka wanted everyone to leave immediately, making Theo's inner turmoil surge even more. He agreed, grabbing the leader's fur to get her ready to go, silently cursing his luck. It seemed he grabbed the wrong thing from the onion bunch, didn't it? Gone, gone. Theo's heart was full of worry. He had to dispose of the evidence. He eagerly urged Elka to run faster, faster, to floor 38. Elka raced below at Theo's command, while how Theo would dispose of it would be revealed in the next episode. Seijin's prehistoric farm wasn't as peaceful today as it usually was. Tons of his onion leaves were flying wildly in the sky with a panicked cry. There was nothing here, not a bit, nowhere to be found, despite searching everywhere. Farmer Seijin frantically dug up everything on the ground to find the one thing different among these onion leaves. Panic filled his mind. Does he have to plant new ones? That was the only thing he had left, after all. Searching tirelessly, Seijin grew impatient and fearful, clutching his head and screaming. Why couldn't he find the sun-faced red sweet potato he harvested when collecting the detoxifying onion leaves? Damn it, Seijin seemed to be going mad. The neatly stacked onion leaves now looked like a pile of garbage scattered all over the ground, and Seijin had lost something incredibly precious. Reflecting on it, he wondered if it was Theo. That cat was the only one who took the onion leaves to trade. Could it have taken the wrong thing? If so, at least Seijin wouldn't be as upset about losing the sun-faced red sweet potato sprouts. He stood with his hands on his hips, looking at the onion leaf patch he had just dug up, sighing in relief. Maybe that cat had taken the sun-faced red sweet potato sprouts to another place while he was harvesting the onion leaves here. However, now he wanted to try planting 1 or 2 bulbs, but couldn't find them. He would definitely punish that fat cat once it came back here. As he was thinking about how to punish Theo, the system board suddenly flashed a notification that the seed store is now open, and the seed system would display a list for him to see. Ah, that's right. Today is the day the seed store reopens. He was so busy that he forgot about it. I wonder what it's selling this time? Before displaying the list of seeds Seijin could buy, the system notified him that his level was still normal, so it would continue to show randomly available seeds for him to choose from. At his current level, he could collect various seeds as long as they were within the 5 tower coins limit. As usual, 4 seed tables appeared for Sejun to choose from. The first one at the top of the list was a flame bean seed, the most expensive at 5 tower coins. Next were 100 strawberry seeds for half a tower coin, or 20,000 carrot seeds for 4 tower coins, and finally 100 Chongyang bell pepper seeds for half a tower coin. The first item, the most expensive, surprised Sejun greatly. What is a flame bean seed? This is the first time he's heard of it. He doesn't know what it is that costs a whopping 5 tower coins, equivalent to all the other items combined. He rubbed his chin. Although he had enough money, the system limited him to only being able to buy within the 5 tower coin limit, so he wouldn't be able to buy other things if he bought this flame bean seed. It's too risky to gamble with this many seeds just to buy something he doesn't know about. Sejun has never liked gambling, so he decided to skip the strange-sounding seed and instead on strawberries, carrots, and Chongyang bell peppers. Although curious, he reminded himself not to take too many risks. Familiar flavors are always better than unfamiliar ones he's never known. Besides, with more and more rabbits appearing on the farm, he'll need a variety of seeds to feed them. Buying all the carrots, strawberries, and Chongyang peppers now would be a very wise choice. The system quickly notified him of the successful purchase of 20,000 carrot seeds, 100 strawberry seeds, and 100 Chongyang bell pepper seeds. 5 tower coins were deducted from Park Sejun's seed bank account, and he gained 50 points accumulated in the seed store, totaling 56 points successfully accumulated. Thank you for using the seed store service. When 3 seed bags fell into Sejun's hands, weighing as much as a successful harvest season, he finally smiled. So now, in addition to the sun-faced red sweet potato sprouts, he has many things to plant for the new season. Just thinking about eating strawberries and Chongyang peppers fills him with energy. He ran excitedly across the sweet potato field and found the father rabbit sitting leisurely nibbling on leaves. "Hey, Mr. Rabbit, I bought more carrot seeds at the seed store." At the mention of the 2 words, carrot seeds, the rabbit's ears perked up, surprised. Of course, how could a rabbit resist carrots? Handing him the bag of carrot seeds, Sejun enthusiastically made plans. "Let's plant them now. Can I give you carrot seeds to plant?" The rabbit was very excited. "Of course, let's do it right now. Let's increase the number of fields on the ground together. Let's work diligently." Looking into the distance, the onion leaf fields, along with Sejun's potatoes and sweet potatoes, stretched out to touch the green of the mountains in the distance. Since the Minotaur came to plow, this area has become larger and larger, truly resembling a perfect farm. Meanwhile, outside of Gangnam, on a clear day, a view straight to the Black Tower stood tall amidst the clouds, separated from the skyscrapers. Taejun admired the distant rooftops and the magical Gangnam Tower, marveling, "What a beautiful day today, isn't it?" He was still dressed in his usual attire, retired as he was, wearing flip-flops, standing in front of his student, is clasping his hands behind his back, looking respectful. Placing his feet on the railing, he sighed, "It's been a long time since I left that freezer and had a chance to admire the tower from afar. Do you see it too, Siyuk?" Taejun's student, Cha Siyuk, upon hearing his teacher's question, bowed his head and replied cautiously, "I don't know about anything else, but you are not well enough to be outside right now. If you let your guard down, you won't know when the fire curse will spread, right? Please go inside and rest." Glancing at his student with a face no longer cheerful, Taejun muttered as if talking to a rock, "You'll always find a way to ruin my mood, won't you? Are you that kind of person?" Siyuk was at a loss for words at his teacher's rhetorical questioning, but maintained a respectful attitude without responding, which made Taejun more frustrated. Too familiar with Siyuk's lack of humor, the teacher switched to business. "There will be a deal with a free merchant soon, right? Is Dongshik on the 38th floor now?" According to Siyuk, Dongshik was indeed on the 38th floor. He said he was having a hard time conquering the boss on the 38th floor, called the Underworld Poisonous Spider, because it had built its nest around the floor's teleportation point. The poison gas emitted by the Underworld Poisonous Spider was extremely difficult to neutralize, even with a specialized healing mage. They said it was impossible to approach the spider's nest without the antidote made from the blood of those poisonous spiders, which could be obtained from the guards of the nest. However, finding an alchemist capable of making the antidote was incredibly difficult. Many adventurers had gone to the species specializing in selling poison and antidotes in the Black Tower, but received only headshakes, ultimately fighting without antidotes. Hearing this, Taejun guessed that the exploration team still hadn't made any progress on that tower floor. And you are guarding Sejun's family while Dongshik is in the tower, right? Report the situation to me. Has anything unusual happened? Just as his teacher had said, Cha Si-hyuk reported that Sejun's family had moved to Hanam-dong district. All three of them followed a consistent travel route and wanted to live a normal life as before. They were also escorted by bodyguards when going out, minimizing public exposure or revealing related information to avoid future troubles. Recently, Sejun's younger brother, Sedol, had been approached by foreign associations while hanging out with friends. They even sent pretty girls to get Sedol's phone number and ask about the tower's situation related to his brother. Luckily, Sedol was very cautious and, along with his friends, didn't drink alcohol or associate with strangers, so they were reassured that the issue was resolved before it became a real problem. Hearing this, Taejun laughed heartily. At least Sejun's family cooperated well. Unexpectedly, in the midst of his laughter, he couldn't help but cough heavily, clutching his chest and stepping back several paces, causing Cha Si-hyuk to panic. Pulling a small, round red pill from his pocket, Taejun rasped, "I'm fine," then popped the cherry tomato pill into his mouth with a crunch, his face showing clear relief as if he had taken a miraculous medicine. Cha Si-hyuk, astonished, asked, "Is that a cherry tomato?" He replied, "Yes. After eating this, overcoming the fire curse becomes much easier. This is a truly useful item, and it tastes good too. It will definitely help many people in the future." Placing his muscular right arm on his broad shoulder, Taejun considered Park Sejun to be an exceptionally talented person not to be overlooked in Korea. "I've spoken with your senior, but remind Dongshik to bring Sejun to my office as soon as he leaves the tower. I won't go in there first," he waved to Cha Si-hyuk before having to return to his freezer room. Although his teacher always seemed cheerful, Cha Si-hyuk couldn't help but worry, watching his teacher's back as he walked away, muttering to himself, there must be a way to break the fire curse on him. Looking again at the Black Tower standing tall in the Gangnam sky, he was filled with hope. Yes, if Senior Dongshik could sniff out even a slight chance of breaking the curse, he would definitely find it. Speaking of Dongshik, here he was, battling fiercely with formidable opponents for hours. Having continuously slashed with the sharp weapon in his hand, Dongshik's face never lost its tense expression. Each time he defeated one spider, another emerged. For hours, Dongshik had been cursing, "Damn it, they keep coming non-stop." Watching the mages and warriors fighting a giant spider in front of him, Dongshik shouted, "Everyone, retreat. We'll regroup to avoid further casualties." Before he could finish speaking, a team member shouted, "Captain Dongshik, above you." The warning came too late. By the time Dongshik heard the noise above him, the giant spider was already descending rapidly, its pincers just 10 centimeters from his head. He turned around in shock, but couldn't react in time. Luckily, a gloved hand pushed Dongshik backward, and a female figure leaped forward, blocking his view. Suha quickly drew her sword and directly confronted the spider's pincer, aimed to kill her captain. The clash was intense, and thanks to her weapon, Suha wasn't caught. But a smoky scar from the poisonous spider appeared on her face. At the moment, her main concern was using her weapon to counter the weight of the attacking spider. With plenty of combat experience, Suha decisively slashed across the spider's pincer, severing its left one. Before it could strike back, she swiftly drew a glowing green sword from her waist and stabbed it into the spider's soft underbelly, its weak spot. She pushed the blade in until the hilt, holding her position until she saw the spider screeched in pain. When it finally stopped struggling, she pulled out the sword, and blood gushed out. The giant poisonous spider collapsed to the ground. The team members rushed over, shouting, "Are you both okay?" Dongshik was temporarily fine, and Suha had no new wounds, but as soon as she withdrew her weapon, she staggered, and Dongshik had to support her. He realized she had been poisoned by the spider. "Call a healer quickly," the team shouted in panic. They laid Suha on the ground and used all their healing magic, but the young woman felt the pain of the spider's venom spreading through her body and began to lose consciousness. Dongshik searched his pockets for an antidote but found none. The healer urgently said, "We can only stop the poison from spreading for a short time, but once we stop, it will spread again. Cursing under his breath, Dongshik thought they had used up all their antidotes. It was too late to go to the alchemists for more. What could they do? In his moment of extreme confusion, he heard a familiar voice. "Hey, isn't that Dongshik here, meow?" It was Theo, the cat, who didn't know a fierce battle had just taken place. Seeing Dongshik's panicked face, it asked, "Why are you here, meow? Shouldn't you be at the trading location?" The trading spot wasn't far, but the cat probably hadn't seen Dongshik arrived as usual and went looking for him. "Oh right, today is trading day," Dongshik muttered, confused, his words stumbling. Theo didn't care about his explanation. Spotting the person lying under a heap of magic, the cat jumped onto Suha and, unaware of her condition, asked, "Why are you sleeping on the road? We need to take a picture. Get up, meow." Suha, affected by the poison and feeling the weight on her chest, groaned and woke up slightly, mumbling, "Heavy, but so soft. It's fine." She lifted Theo off her face, the cat patting her cheeks with its front paws. Dongshik quickly explained, "Theo, Suha is affected by the spider's venom." Hearing about the spider, the cat got frantic. "It must hurt a lot. Are you okay? Just lie down, meow." Suddenly, Dongshik remembered Theo was a merchant cat who knew many locations in the tower. He urgently asked, "If this continues, she will die. Do you know where to find an antidote for spider venom?" Theo rubbed Sua's face, then told Dongshik, "There's no poison master nearby." Wait a minute. It suddenly recalled its purpose for today's trade. The cat climbed off Sua, rummaged through its space pouch, and happily announced, "I have this." It pulled out a nearly half-height onion leaf, introducing it with great excitement. "This is a detoxifying onion leaf, meow." Just hearing the word detoxifying, Dongshik's team gathered around to see. Dongshik hesitantly took the leaf. The system board notified him that this onion leaf was extremely nutritious and delicious, capable of detoxifying D-level or lower poisons within an hour of ingestion. Eating 10 or more could extend the effect up to an hour. It was grown by tower farmer Park Sajan with a 60-day shelf life and classified as D-level. What mattered most to Dongshik now was whether this detoxifying onion leaf could neutralize the venom from the underworld poisonous spider. The only way to know was to try it. Helping Suha up, the captain told her to try eating it. Luckily, Suha hadn't fallen unconscious, so she managed to chew a bit of the onion leaf. Amazingly, before it even reached her stomach, she opened her eyes wide in surprise. The spider's venomous cut on her cheek faded away as if nothing had happened, leaving no scar. She sat up in shock. "My body feels so light. I've never felt this way before." Seeing the effect, Theo the cat came forward with a big smile. Suha hugged Theo, rubbing her face against the cat's soft fur with affection. "Thank you so much, Theo. You saved my life. You're the best cat in the world." Despite not liking to be hugged, Theo decided to enjoy the moment. Putting on a formal tone, it said, "Ahem, no problem, meow." Spreading its chubby paw, it added, "Just give me 5 tower coins and I'll provide extremely cheap healing services. That's a special discount just for you, meow." Suha lifted the mischievous cat, examining its face. "You saved my life, and now you're asking for money? You're a wicked merchant." More importantly, Dongshik asked, "Where did you get this detoxifying onion leaf?" Only now did Theo remember to explain, "This is a new crop that will be sold this time." Everyone gathered around in surprise. A new crop? Really? Dongshik felt like he was holding good luck in his hands. The underworld spider's venom was classified as E+, and this onion leaf could detoxify poisons up to D level. If he could get this detoxifying onion leaf, conquering the 38th floor would become very feasible. Now, Captain Dongshik is no longer afraid of the poisonous spiders surrounding the teleportation point. He felt incredibly excited, ready to fight with this savior in his hands. As expected, Dongshik stared at the cat in admiration. "Theo, you're a 10-point merchant cat." Not understanding Dongshik's look, Theo felt uneasy and asked, "Why are you looking at me like that?"